Where am I looking? Hi. Hi, and welcome to my video. Tonight we are talking about flute playing for doublers. Now, this was an idea that occurred to me after last night's video when I really didn't even know what to talk about, but I ended up talking about doubling and things to do to keep yourself in shape, or what you need to do to get yourself back into shape so that you can play your next gig professionally. So I decided that I would pull out my flute and show you some exercises that you can do to improve your tone and your control, because these are the and your embouchure. These are the things that I find go first with the flute. The fingering on the flute is very similar to the saxophone in a lot of ways. So I find that I'm not forgetful of fingerings, and the fluidity that comes from playing the flute is usually still there, even if I'm only playing a saxophone or clarinet or fill in the blank. So I thought I would share with you some embouchure and tone specific exercises to help you get in shape quickly. And these are really designed to stress your embouchure and push you to the limit. So you probably only need to do these for like 15-20 minutes a day, and then just play some etudes and stuff like that. Anyway, so I have my flute mic right up here, so I'm going to switch over to that in a second and demonstrate some things for you. First off, the thing that I like to do, and especially at night when things are quieting down, sometimes practicing is not really an option because you might wake the neighbors, or you live with somebody and you want them to still like you. So what I like to do are what are called whistle tones, and I'm not probably the best person to explain this, but it's like they sound like you're whistling, like, so it's like you let out a trickle of air from your lips, and it just barely creates a sound on the flute, and it sounds like a whistle. But these whistles occur in the same intervals as overtones. So you can do them on any note, like your low C, your I just go through the chromatic scale and try them all. So you can practice them like you do overtones. And now these are actually different than overtones, because overtones sound distinctly different. Whistle tones are very quiet, and that's why I like doing them at night. I actually sometimes even practice them as quiet as I possibly can. And what happens is you're getting this tiny, tight airstream going, and whistle tones are so delicate that it requires you to not waver in your embouchure or your throat or anything like that, because otherwise it'll change to a different note. Anyway, so I'm going to do a quick demonstration on a low C, and I'm going to start with the lowest whistle tone, and I'll just demonstrate what is possible. I'll just go up a few and then back down. So let me switch over to that mic. So as you can see, these are kind of tricky to do. kind of tricky, kind of tricky. So there was a lot of wavering going on there, and they're not perfect by any means. I could be better at them, and I am better at them when I'm playing lots of flute. So this exercise really, I feel, helps me develop my control, developing a really nice, small, tight airstream, and keeping my embouchure in check, not wavering, not moving, just steady. Because in order to play these notes, you have to have a steady embouchure. So, here's some ideas of what you can do with whistle tones. You can play a major scale. You can start on the lowest whistle tone and stay on the lowest, and then just play a major scale, or just maybe C, D, that's a C. C, D, E, F, G, F, E, D, C, but all in whistle tones. So let me try my best at that. Here we go. Now that was challenging for me, especially the low C. There's something about that first whistle tone. All the other upper intervals are a lot easier for me, but the roots are most challenging. So if you need to start on the fifth or the octave above that, find whatever works for you. Start with something that you can make sound really pretty, and go from there. All right, so let's move on to another. Oh, sorry. Let me give you a couple more exercises that you can do with the whistle tones. One thing you can do is transition between a pair. You just go back and forth as smoothly as you can. So let's say you're going from G to C, G to C, back and forth, or G to C, and then from C back to G. So you slur between them and develop that control and flexibility in your embouchure. And then maybe you pick a higher overtone. Maybe you go from E to C and then C to E. So you develop that relationship. Or maybe you skip them. Or maybe you do skip and then you do it like scale exercises. Completely up to you, but it's all about developing that flexibility. Okay, now moving along, I want to talk to you about overtones. Overtones are also really great. They have a thicker, more defined sound, and I've talked with you about this on the saxophone, is this idea of overtone matching. So let's take this and run with it. I am going to play some, I'm going to play an overtone. Let's stick with C. We'll see how that sounds. I'm going to do the middle C on the flute, which is not, it's an octave above middle C on the piano. And I'm going to play the original note, and then I'm going to play the long or overtone fingering, and I'm going to try to bring that thickness from the long fingering into my normally produced C. Okay, here we go. So you can hear the distinct difference in the timbres of those two notes, but they each have their own characteristics. And maybe the best of both worlds is the best option. You know, you have the clarity of the normally fingered note, but you have the thickness of the overtone fingering. So these are just some things that you can do. So you can go actually it occurs to me that since the flute is an octave key free instrument, some of these fingerings that come from saxophone, or these tendencies from saxophone, might not be as applicable. So let's do it from the G above an octave above middle C, if that makes sense. Okay, so the G on the top of the staff, of the treble staff. So there you have it. That's one exercise for overtones. Another is the overtone flexibility, such as slurring between two notes. And I'll do this on a low B, just that ridiculous tough note that everybody needs to work on. That probably includes you and me, definitely me. So I'm going to start on a low B and try to slur up an octave to the B an octave. Yes, Brandon, up an octave means up an octave. Every 60 seconds, a minute passes. That's great. Okay, so here we go. That came out better than I expected. I'll tell you that. But I still have a lot of work to do because that interval can get smoother and smoother and smoother. So what you want to do is you want to keep that fingering and just practice all the different pairs of notes there. And I'm just going to be practicing adjacent notes. Yeah. Okay. So the point here is these are things that are difficult. These are difficult to control, and they start taxing your embouchure. My embouchure is already feeling tired. And you do these for a few days in a row, and you might start feeling a little bit of improvement, and especially in tone and control, because that is essential to being a professional flute player. So let's see. I have another thing that I like to do. Actually, I have two more tips for you today. One is working on tone exclusively, and I like to work on the polarity of tone, and that is between this kind of sandy, almost brittle, and bright tone, and a more warm, darker and rich tone. So I like going between the extremes on a note, just practicing getting that really nice, bright, and sandy tone. That's how it was described to me, and I think that's an apt description. So let's see if I can produce that for you. So this is me going after the sandier tone. Okay, that was starting to feel a little sandy to me. I don't know. Do you think it was a little sandy? Um, Now I'm going to try going for more of a warm and darker tone, something that might be a little bit less showy or something that blends a little better. To me, that's almost more like a wooden flute sound or kind of a Baroque style um, tone. Now, if I'm talking out my behind, please let me know. If there are any flute players out there who have more insight on this, please let me know in the comments. I do not want to be incorrect in the information I'm offering here. Also, I find great value in these exercises for me, and these are what help me feel like I'm in shape. Okay, one last thing that I wanted to share with you is double tonguing. I always work on it, and it's not necessarily to play it as fast as humanly possible. It is for cleanliness and lining the tongue up with the beginning of your note and making sure that the beginning of the note sounds as clear and clean as possible with both the tu and the ku syllables. So first I'll do the tu syllable. So that was all tu. Now, what I was focusing on was the clarity of tone, the quality of tone, and making sure that my tone and air and tongue were all meeting together in one place, because that's very important. Flute requires tremendous control because it can easily get away from you. You know, it's a very nuanced instrument, and isolating those nuances is very important. You want to sound like a flute player, and as a doubler, it's very important to sound like whatever instrument you're playing on. You don't want to be Dave, the saxophonist who kind of sort of plays flute, and we should never ask him to play flute in that chart. Let's have Steve play flute on that one. Switch parts. You want to be the guy who can play any chair in the band and sound as good on and sound just as good on every single chair. And that's what I strive to do. Is like no matter what playing situation I'm in, no matter what role I play, I want to be professional, in tune, in time, great tone, great guy. Just be there and make some great music, and everybody's gonna love playing with you. Okay, I digress. Ku syllable. Now this one's a little bit little bit trickier. The ku syllable, or you might think of it as goo, ku or goo. You want it to sound as close to the tu as possible. So you might practice going between the two, trying to get them identical. And that does not mean that you should make the tu sound more like a goo or a ku. It means that you should bring the ku all the way over to sound like a tu. So this is where it's important to record yourself. I had a moment where I was so concerned with them sounding they were sounding so different to my ears as I played them, because I was aware of all the mechanical mess that was going on in my mouth. And I recorded myself, and I was actually very, very close in tone, and that was quite encouraging to me. So I suggest that you record yourself doing this, on your phone. It doesn't matter how quality the recording is. It just matters how you hear the attack and the tone that follows. So you might be of the school where your tu and ku are matched perfectly, or you might be of the school where they sound completely opposite and you want to remedy that. So it's good to be aware. Here we go. This is the ku syllable. Now, I found that this is a little trickier because I feel like there's more air coming out of my throat when I do a ku syllable. So this one can kind of get a little bit out of hand. Now, you want to do this on every single note on your flute. You want to do this in the low register, the middle register, the top register, and you'll find that there are certain syllables that are easier to do on different notes. So if you have a sweaty palm recording session, or you are a featured soloist for a very prestigious event, you'll want to lean on the tu or the ku syllable that works absolute best in whatever playing scenario you are in. So when you learn those tendencies, I, for example, am better at my ku syllables in the lower register, on the low E, or F. Those two notes are a little bit tricky. They tend to split a little bit, and the ku in the octave above on the E really wants to split, but the tu is just fine. So learning what your syllables are for different registers is very important. But make sure that when you recognize these strengths, you make them strengths on the other syllable as well, because a good tu in a low a good ku in a low register means that your tu isn't as good as your ku. So why not work on just your tu for a while so that they're even? Anyway, I'm going to switch back and forth between the tus and the kus. So sometimes I like to do this on a major scale, or just like G all the way up to D and then back down, and I'll do a tu and then a ku, and then a tu and then a ku for each note on the way up and back down. Okay, a couple things. One, you might have noticed that I breathed through my nose for just a second there. That's a bad habit. I'm trying to break it, so don't do that. Breathe through your mouth. Okay, and another thing, don't forget to like and subscribe. I forgot what I was going to say, but don't forget to like and subscribe. If you get any value out of my videos, It would mean a lot to me if you like this video and hit subscribe. I love having a lot of people that I am communicating to, and having you join our community is really wonderful. I put out a new video just about every night, and I'm kind of diving into the doubling now, I guess. This is fun. I'm enjoying talking about flute, and you're getting to hear me play flute for you. So let me know in the comments if you have any other videos you'd like to see me do, or if you have any thoughts about this video, things that I can improve on, things that you could improve on, things that we all could improve on. So I think that's about it for today. Thanks for tuning in, and I'm glad you're here. So happy practicing, and I'll see you next time. Bye.